Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Who do you trust when your options are Biden or China's Xi Jinping? Not a very appetizing choice, is it? At issue was a phone call between the two heads of state yesterday in which the White House released its readout of what was said and China's state news agency released its own competing version. In the White House version, the pair put their heads together on tackling climate change, risks with advanced technologies like AI, and on improving military communication, especially as the issue of Taiwan remains a very live wire. But China claims that Biden bowed to Xi on the issue of Taiwan and told the dictator that he opposes decoupling our economy or supply chains from them and that the U.S. wants China to succeed. Now, I'm not really one to trust anything China says in its propaganda, but something tells me that Xinhua News wasn't exactly lying or stretching the truth all that much in its version of what was said over the phone. And that's very concerning, especially in light of a new fact sheet released by the Navy just yesterday. It shows how every major shipbuilding program we currently have going is being delayed by years. I'm not going to read for you each ship program name, but it is on screen for you to check out. We don't have the same industrial capacity anymore, the qualified workforce necessary, or the raw materials backed up by global supply chain issues. And our relationship with China is a big reason as to why all this is. We really do need to strengthen the home front right now. We have tens of thousands of Chinese nationals exploiting our southern border. Others involved in transnational criminal organizations are exploiting lax drug laws here in the States, especially in Maine, to sicken us and to send the revenue back to Beijing. We've had spy balloons fly unmolested overhead, land and other property, especially near critical infrastructure, and military bases sold to Chinese nationals. And they've unleashed plagues on us. Even during the COVID years, there was an illegal Chinese biolab in California, which the CDC only shrugged at and covered up. Now, an investigative reporter from The Nation just got his hands on some documents from the USGS as a result of his FOIA request regarding Project Diffuse. Joining us now to discuss is attorney Hans Monkey, the co-host of Truth Over News on Epic TV. Hans, thanks for being back tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So what are the major takeaways you're gathering from this new COVID document dump?
Yeah, it's a very interesting dump. So maybe I think, first of all, we should say where it came from. So it came from the U.S. Geological Survey, which is kind of a very odd place for it to come from. But the guy who did the FOIA request here, Jimmy Tobias, he had a very smart idea. He saw someone from the U.S. Geological Survey on some of these emails involving DASAC and the Wuhan lab, and he thought, oh, maybe that's my back door. So that's how he got the documents. I think the biggest takeaway from these documents is that DASAC and EcoHealth Alliance did try and go ahead and find funding for their proposal to make COVID-like viruses. You may recall that they had this diffuse proposal in 2018. Now, when that leaked in 2021, DASAC said, well, we never got funded, so it never went ahead. That was the excuse. And by the way, the proposal is literally a blueprint for making COVID in a lab. So, you know, look at the, what a surprise, right? 2018, they have the proposal, 2019, exactly that kind of virus leak. So the excuse was, well, we never got funding. Well, now in those new emails, we can see that EcoHealth wanted to get more funding for exactly that proposal. So I think that's pretty big news.
It really is. And do we know where he took his project to next? I think it's the University of North Carolina seems to have been wrapped up in this somehow. Could you explain that to the audience?
Sure, of course. So the University of North Carolina has a guy working there called Ralph Barrick, and he's the kind of godfather of these gain-of-function experiments. He's actually really, really good at this stuff. And he taught the Chinese over the years, which probably wasn't very wise. And they had a lot of collaborative projects, including this Diffuse project, on which Barrick was, EcoHealth was, and the Wuhan lab was. They were all on that project. Now, officially in the Diffuse proposal for making COVID in the lab, they said that all the work was going to be done at Barrick's lab in North Carolina. But we found out from the FOIAs that actually that was only for the funding. And once they got the funding, they were just going to do it all in Wuhan. They admit that in their own emails. So that's what we found out as well. And of course, that's very, very shocking, but perhaps not surprising. The inference we can draw from that is since they wanted to do it over there anyway, and since the Pentagon did not fund it, well, they probably went ahead and did it over there. And my suspicion is that the Chinese Academy of Sciences paid for it.